My best friend held me while I cried the day our startup declared bankruptcy, telling me I just wasn't built for business. I'd spent 5 years building TechBridge solutions with Kendra Hayes, my college roommate and supposedly my closest friend. What I didn't know until 3 years later when I hired a forensic accountant was that she'd systematically stolen $3.2 million while convincing me I was incompetent. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this story, because what happens next will leave you absolutely stunned. These things happen, Tessa, Kendra said, stroking my hair as I sobbed into her shoulder. 90% of startups fail. You gave it your best shot. You just don't have the mind for business. Some people are idea people. Some people are execution people. You're brilliant with concepts, but the operational stuff, it's just not your strength. We were sitting in our office in San Francisco, the office we leased 5 years ago when TechBridge Solutions was just an idea. A platform connecting nonprofits with tech volunteers. I'd coded the original prototype. Kendra had handled the business side fundraising, operations, client relationships. The business had grown fast. Within 2 years, we'd raised $4.5 million in venture funding. By year 3, we had 40 employees and partnerships with 300 nonprofits. Then things started falling apart. Client complaints about unfulfilled commitments. Employees quitting over unpaid bonuses. Vendors threatening legal action over outstanding invoices. Kendra had assured me everything was fine. Growing pains, she'd said. Every startup goes through this. I'm handling it. But she hadn't handled it. 6 months ago, our lead investor demanded an audit. The results were catastrophic. We were $2.8 million in debt. Our accounts were nearly empty. Multiple vendors had filed liens. We declared bankruptcy 3 weeks later. I don't understand, I'd said over and over. We raised $4.5 million. We had revenue. Where did the money go? Operating expenses, Kendra had explained patiently. Salaries, office space, technology infrastructure, marketing. Running a business is expensive, Tessa. You focused on the product. I handled the finances, but the burn rate was too high. We couldn't sustain it. I'd believed her. Because she was my best friend. Because she'd been my roommate at Stanford. Because we'd started this company together in her apartment with nothing but a laptop and a dream. Now, sitting in our empty office with bankruptcy papers signed, I believed I'd failed. What are you going to do now? I asked through my tears. Kendra smiled gently. I've been talking to some people. There's a consulting firm interested in my expertise. They want someone who understands startup operations. It'll be a good next step. You're going to be okay? I always land on my feet. You know that. She squeezed my hand. What about you? What's next? I don't know. Find a job, I guess. Pay off my debts. Try to figure out what I am actually good at since it is apparently not running a business. You're good at technology, at solving problems. You should find a big, stable company. Let someone else handle the business side while you do what you do best. It sounded like good advice from a good friend. It was actually a carefully constructed lie from the person who destroyed me. I spent the next 3 years working as a senior software engineer at a large tech company in Seattle. The pay was good, the work was stable. But something gnawed at me. I couldn't stop thinking about TechBridge. About how quickly it had collapsed. About how I'd failed so completely at something I'd poured my heart into. I started reading about startup failures, about common mistakes, about signs of trouble I should have noticed. And the more I read, the less sense our failure made. We'd raised $4.5 million. Our revenue in year 3 was $1.2 million. Even with high expenses, the math didn't add up. On the 3-year anniversary of our bankruptcy, I made a decision. I hired a forensic accountant, not to punish anyone, not to assign blame, just to understand what had actually happened, to learn from my mistakes so I wouldn't repeat them. Benjamin Torres came highly recommended. He specialized in startup audits and fraud investigation. I gave him everything: bank statements, tax returns, investor reports, vendor contracts, employee records. Every document I'd kept from TechBridge's 5-year existence. 2 weeks later, he called me. Miss Park? We need to talk in person. Today, if possible, His voice was shaking. We met at a coffee shop near my apartment. Benjamin arrived with a leather portfolio and a laptop, his expression grim. "I've been doing this work for 15 years, he said without preamble. "I've seen embezzlement, fraud, creative accounting. But this," he shook his head. "This is one of the most systematic thefts I've ever documented." "Theft?" "Your partner, Kendra Hayes, embezzled approximately $3.2 million from TechBridge Solutions over a 4-year period." The coffee shop noise faded to white noise. "That's not possible. Kendra handled the finances, but she wouldn't. She's my best friend. She's a thief." Benjamin opened his laptop. "Let me show you." He pulled up a spreadsheet. "This is your company's actual cash flow versus what was reported to investors and to you. See these discrepancies?" Numbers swam in front of my eyes. Reported revenue higher than actual revenue. Reported expenses that didn't match real expenses. Gaps. Hundreds of gaps. Starting in year 2, Kendra created shell companies. Fake vendors. She'd invoice TechBridge for services that were never provided, then pay those invoices to companies she secretly owned. He clicked to another sheet. Creative Solutions LLC, owned by Kendra Hayes through a nominee. Billed TechBridge $480,000 for marketing consulting. No actual work performed. Another click. Synergy Technologies Inc., also owned by Kendra. Billed $640,000 for platform development. Your team did all the development in-house. Another click. Enterprise Partners Group. Billed $890,000 for business development services. Complete fabrication. She also inflated real vendor invoices. Your actual office rent was $8,000 monthly? She reported it as $15,000 and pocketed the difference. Your employee salaries were accurate, but the bonuses she paid herself were triple what she paid anyone else, and she never told you. He showed me bank statements. Transfers to accounts I'd never seen. Companies I'd never heard of. Payments for services that had never existed. The vendor complaints weren't about your company's quality. They were about Kendra selectively not paying legitimate invoices while she siphoned money to her fake companies. She let real vendors go unpaid while she paid herself millions. And the bankruptcy? Orchestrated? When the lead investor demanded an audit, Kendra knew she was about to be exposed, so she accelerated the collapse. She made sure you declared bankruptcy before a thorough audit could happen. In the chaos of business failure, fraud is harder to detect. She planned this, the entire thing, for 4 years. This wasn't opportunistic theft. This was systematic, premeditated embezzlement. She built these shell companies before she even started stealing. She knew exactly what she was doing. I thought I might throw up. "There's more," Benjamin said quietly. After TechBridge declared bankruptcy, Kendra didn't go to a consulting firm. She told me, she lied. She used the stolen money to start her own company. Hayes Consulting Group, she's been running it for 3 years. Current annual revenue, approximately $2 million. Built entirely on money she stole from you. I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours while Benjamin walked me through every detail. Every fake invoice, every shell company. Every lie Kendra had told while systematically destroying the business we'd built together. "Why didn't the investors catch this?" I asked. "Your quarterly reports showed strong cash flow and manageable expenses." Kendra falsified the financials. She showed investors what they wanted to see while hiding what was really happening. By the time they demanded a full audit, she'd already planned the bankruptcy. And the employees? The clients? Collateral damage. She didn't care who got hurt as long as she got her money. She was my best friend. Benjamin's expression softened. "I'm sorry. This is betrayal on a profound level. She didn't just steal money. She stole years of your life. Your confidence, your trust. What do I do now? You press charges. This is wire fraud, embezzlement, securities fraud, federal crimes. With this documentation, the FBI and TQ prosecute. She go to jail? If convicted, almost certainly. We're talking about $3.2 million in theft, years of systematic fraud. She faced significant prison time. I thought about Kendra, about late nights coding together at Stanford, about launching TechBridge in her apartment, about her holding me while I cried, telling me I just didn't have the mind for business. Do it, I said. File the reports. Contact the FBI. I want every agency involved. The investigation took 8 months. The FBI, SEC, and IRS all got involved. Benjamin's documentation was airtight, every theft traced, every shell company exposed, every lie documented. Kendra was arrested at her office. Hayes Consulting Group was raided. Her bank accounts were frozen. She called me from jail. I almost didn't answer, but I needed to hear what she'd say. Tessa! Oh my God, Tessa, there's been a terrible mistake. Someone's accusing me of, they're saying I stole from TechBridge. You have to tell them it's not true. You have to help me. I know everything, Kendra. Silence. I hired a forensic accountant. He found every shell company, every fake invoice, every dollar you stole. The FBI has all of it. Tessa, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You spent 4 years systematically stealing from our company. You created fake vendors. You inflated expenses. You pocketed $3.2 million while convincing me I was incompetent. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like?
Tell me.
Explain how you stole millions of dollars, destroyed our company, ruined our employees' careers, and then comforted me while I cried about failing. Explain that. Her voice hardened. You were always so naive, Tessa, so trusting. You had the tech skills, but you were useless at business. Someone had to be practical. Practical? You call embezzlement practical? I call it recognizing opportunity. You would have run that company into the ground anyway. At least I got something out of it. You were my best friend. I was your business partner. And business isn't friendship. It's profit. You stole from me, from our employees. From non-profits we were supposed to help. I took what I earned. I did the real work while you played with code. I deserve that money. Then why hide it? Why create shell companies? Why lie? Because you wouldn't have understood. You would have gotten emotional and moralistic. I did what I had to do. You destroyed everything we built. I built it. You just coded the prototype. Everything after that, the fundraising, the operations, the growth, that was me. You were just along for the ride. I hung up. Kendra's trial lasted 6 weeks. The prosecution presented Benjamin's forensic accounting report, bank records, shell company documents, and testimony from TechBridge employees who confirmed they'd never worked with the fake vendors Kendra had created. Kendra's defense was that she'd been entitled to the money because she'd done most of the work. The jury didn't buy it. She was convicted on 14 counts: wire fraud, embezzlement, securities fraud, and filing false tax returns. The judge sentenced her to 12 years in federal prison and ordered her to pay $3.2 million in restitution. Hayes Consulting Group was liquidated. Her assets were seized. Her reputation was destroyed. I received $1.8 million in recovered funds after legal fees and government penalties. Not the full amount stolen, but significant. I used part of it to pay back the TechBridge employees who'd lost bonuses. I donated part to the nonprofits we'd failed to serve properly, and I kept part for myself. Then I did something I thought I'd never do again. I started a company. A new platform connecting nonprofits with tech volunteers. Better built, better managed, with proper financial controls and oversight. I called it Bridgepoint Solutions. This time I handled both the technology and the business. I hired a CFO who reported to a board. I implemented quarterly audits. I created systems to prevent what Kendra had done to me. And it worked. 3 years later, Bridgepoint Solutions has 30 employees, 500 nonprofit partners, and $3 million in annual revenue. All legitimate, all transparent. All mine. Kendra writes me letters from prison. I don't open them. I throw them away. I don't need her apologies or her justifications or her attempts to rewrite history. I know what happened. I have the documentation. I have the conviction. I have the justice. More importantly, I have something she tried to take from me, my confidence, because Kendra was wrong. I do have a mind for business. I always did. I just trusted the wrong person to handle the parts I didn't understand. Now I understand everything. The finances, the operations, the systems that prevent fraud. I understand that trust without verification is naive. That friendship doesn't exempt anyone from accountability. That some people will destroy you while smiling to your face. My name is Tessa Park. I'm the founder and CEO of Bridgepoint Solutions, a successful tech company connecting nonprofits with volunteers. My former best friend and business partner stole $3.2 million from our first company while convincing me I was incompetent. She went to prison for 12 years. I built a better company without her. She told me I didn't have the mind for business. Turns out she was the one who didn't have the ethics for business. I had the mind. I just needed to learn to trust it. And now I do. Every day, every decision, every success. Without her, better without her. Because she taught me something valuable, even if she didn't mean to. Failure isn't always about incompetence. Sometimes it's about sabotage. And the only way to truly succeed is to recognize the difference and eliminate the saboteurs from your life. Kendra thought she was smarter than me. She's serving 12 years in federal prison. I'm running a multi-million-dollar company. I think we both know who was actually smarter. And who just thought she was.